Good evening. Here I am. I am out of dopamine today. None at all. Nothing left. I have nowhere to put these books apart from there. So, I'm a few minutes late because I really needed to eat some chocolate and cake. And we have no chocolate or cake. So I have toast with honey. It's the closest I could manage. So welcome to the Eating Toast and Drinking Tea stream. No, that's not really what it is. It is actually game dev, and I don't have the thing open that I had open. Ah, there we go. I think it's opening itself. I opened the browser. It's hopefully on the right thing. Otherwise, I'm showing you some kind of private whatever once this loads. In fact, why don't I just I'll put that there for the moment until I see what it is. Something's coded wrong there. It shouldn't take that long to load. This is critiquing someone else's software, by the way. There we go. So basically, I'm pretty sure that to load this, it had to load everything. Why is that snapping to there? I think it's equal space on either side, which is cool. Yes, I've been working on the Command Bots game. I have a feeling I might even have pushed out a build. And that'll be up at, oh, it's not there. It's on the other scene. Looks like I do have a bunch of changes in there. Last thing I checked in was fixing the factory counting for victory condition. So it did victory properly, but I think I've actually wired that up to a menu now so you can restart. So I'll just check that change in real quick. Maybe I won't just now. I'm going to put that over there. And be ready to check that in. Might give me a little bit more green on this side from all those additions. Who knows? And let's hop over to this development scene. I'm also going to check I'm not muted. And I'm going to check the chat here. And I'm also going to open the pixel notifier, which is a really hacky and not very reliable solution to helping me notice when there's a chat message. So if I don't notice your chat message, just send a few more and you might hit one of the pixels around here somewhere, which are set up to make a noise. Now that's running. I might even just shift the chat down a smidge. Just until I get one of those active pixels notified. So yeah, there are a bunch of them. Doesn't seem to be working very reliably. I probably should put this right in the middle of my screen. And tell you what, yes. In the interest of actually noticing chat, I'm going to chuck it in the middle of my screen. And then basically, at the moment, this is just showing pretty much a whole monitor. Should I do that? I pretty much set it up so that it'll show Unity and Visual Studio anywhere I like. No, actually, I won't mess around with that right now. I'll do that in between streams because that's going to just cut in too much to the dev time. And even though it is kind of still development stuff, it's not quite right. Not exactly what we're after. Let me just run this. A lot of these factories are not enabled at the moment. So at the moment, I've got the game working by, like, these factories just are here, sort of hard coded, but they just get enabled or disabled. That's my little special robot here, Boop, who is just a malfunctioning robot. It's got lasers, but they're not properly wired up. And these guys are doing not very sensible things. But I believe the point is, and let me go to these friendly. Now, who do we want to win, the friendlies or the enemies? Go to the enemy factories. Looking for the hittable objects, because that's what will take damage. Actually, let's get the friendlies, actually. Because it looks like these robots are programmed to destroy stuff anyway. So looking for the hittable object, current HP, we'll set that to 1 for all of them. So now did that work? Yes, that's 0, but it hasn't been exploded. But 1, go. There we go, that's better. Yeah, that's set on 1. So these bars are going to be full. I've set the HP to 1, but I just did it by changing the HP value. I didn't do it by calling the take damage function, which would cause the bar to update, because that bar doesn't just poll the current hit points. I guess it would be more reliable if it did. So that's probably a better way to set it up. Just having it poll the value. And then I don't need something to notify the health bar every single time. It just needs one reference to whatever it's the health bar for. And it can do its job. I waited too long. This toast is not as crispy as it would have been. Oh, that's right, yeah. So I'll just grab these friendly factories. If I adjust the Y position, oops, I'll adjust it even higher. That'll help. There we go. So we've got the menu showing up. Play a game. It doesn't distinguish between victory or game over on that menu at the moment. But that's basically where it's at. So if I grab this, and we'll just take a look. We've got that to start a new game. I think I'll do one more thing on this. These aren't like super detailed specified tasks, because I'm not, this is just a solo project, and this is still quite early stage. So I'm not spending a lot of time on the details of these tasks, because it would just be me figuring out what to do and writing it down. When I'm better off just doing that when I'm doing it. So basically, make victory look different from game over. There we go. And then after that, I'll work on those enemy factories to not be controllable. There's also a bunch of notes here about stuff. Basically, make it so you can't select them and set their routines or anything. And then it'd be nice to make them so that they sort of have a bit of variety in them. So yeah, pretty much I'll work on this. There we go. And you're getting possibly some chewing noise ASMR as well. Okay, so to distinguish between those two different things, we've got an endgame canvas here. I think this is the old routine editor actually as well. Okay, 1 second. Let me just, before I do anything else there, just going to quickly check in this. So basically that was add game end menu and restart and functionality. There we go. So I was just making a commit off on the other screen there. Now let's get into it. So yeah, still setting up that game loop. You can kind of loop around. You can play, restart, play again. But I'm still working on the details of that. So yeah, how do I make victory look different from other stuff? Basically, here's our endgame panel. And here's that text that says game ended. And there's the play again button. So I'm actually going to make a component for this, which can control that text. I'll just check it out at the top level here for the moment. And maybe organize it a bit later. So this is the game end UI. I'm wondering, would it be a good idea to put that on the canvas? I feel like I kind of want a UI manager that handles showing and hiding the various different UI things now. That then everything else could just call out to that and tell it what to display, so that it could be a single point of call. I'm not sure how good an idea that is. Let's just stick with the game end UI. Yeah, I'll put it at the level of the canvas for the moment. And let's open that up to edit. We'll make it a singleton. just like the game manager is a singleton. It is a singleton basically because of this code here. So I'll just do the same thing. Let's get rid of that start and update. I'm going to be using those. It's not going to be a game manager, it's going to be one of these. That message should say that. Now that's a singleton. If I try and add more than one, it'll destroy the extra one. And log an error so that I know to not do that. All right. So we're basically going to want to manipulate that we're going to want to get that text and update that. And given that it's up here, I think we can also do just that panel. Let's call it a modal because it's an overlay. Oh, hey, Gyro Mathias, my pixel notifier is definitely very much not working. Less than 5 minutes to notice, though. I really got to fix that thing. Viable for a layman in program to start with C++. I mean, you can start with anything. I actually started with C++ sort of myself. I did a little bit at school with like Logo Writer, which I think runs on BASIC and some other things, but I had a C++ book that went through and teaches it to you. Where's my magnifier? Get my magnifier up. Because that might not be very readable on smaller screens. Yeah, so there's a question. Do you think it's viable for a layman in programming to start with C++? I don't know anything about programming, but I don't want to start, as most say, JavaScript or Python to, quote, get a job. JavaScript is kind of a big mess in some ways, but it's got like a really nice little language at its core. It is kind of weird because it's a Lisp, but it's got C-style syntax, and it's kind of got a whole bunch of features, and you want to just avoid most of them because you'll shoot yourself in the foot really easily. But yeah, so basically, modern C++ has solved a lot of the problems that old C++ had. The thing, if you're dealing with C and C++, and a bunch of other languages that I haven't used, is that you are managing memory yourself, which means that you can leak memory. Basically, like when I write a variable here, like just here, I've got this class here, and when I have an instance of this class, what I'm writing here is I'm basically going, yeah, I'm going to have a reference to one of these things and a reference to one of these things. And C# for me is going to get those and make sure that there's memory allocated in the right place for those. And I don't have to worry about dealing with that memory. I don't have to worry about allocating it. I don't have to worry about freeing that memory, giving it back to the system. But the downside with languages like Java, C#, JavaScript, and a whole bunch of others is they'll have a garbage collector. So every time I create variables and then they go out of scope and automatically don't necessarily get cleaned up straight away, but they automatically have no more references to them. The language, it's not necessarily the same in every language, but basically once they're out of scope, then the language can clean them up whenever it wants to, and it will do that with the garbage collector, and that will run on some kind of, there'll be some kind of schedule to do that, either timed or based on when there's a certain amount of memory or other triggers, like when you start to run low on available memory or that kind of thing. I know conceptually pretty well what goes on, but not the details of how they decide. And so you'll potentially, if you are creating and destroying a lot of objects that you don't need to, then you'll have slowness that happens because there's garbage collection running. And that's why you'll do things like object pooling when you're making, like at the moment, I'm just making new instances of robots and destroying those instances and not reusing them. But a good thing for performance for me to do would be to have every robot that's created never gets destroyed. It just gets put into the pool and just gets disabled. And then when another robot is needed, it can just find one on the pool or create a new one if there are none available. And it's just sort of avoiding this memory churn. But if you're using C++, modern C++, I think there's basically stuff in there that means that you don't actually have to manage your memory quite so manually. And it actually does it in a way that ends up a lot faster than C#, I think, unless C# has got some innovations in it, because you can essentially have smart pointers, which will, I think they immediately clean up, like immediately free the memory when there are no more references to it. So no need for an actual garbage collector. But don't quote me on that. But yeah, I think it's interesting to consider. And that's the thing, like what your goals are with whatever languages you're learning, that's probably going to be a factor. Like unless you're just generally learning, you want to just be a programmer and go and do, various different things. If you're looking at creating games and creating engines, then like I could write an engine in C#, I could write an engine in JavaScript. I did. I kind of had just thrown it together and then I tried to use it in a game jam, which wasn't the smartest thing because then there was debugging to do while I was sort of implementing the first game and trying to do it in 48 hours while debugging my game engine. But I don't think I'd call it arrogant to start with C++. It's just different. I don't think the language you start with can affect some things. Like some of my earlier programming was with Chaos, which is a scripting language for Creatures 2. I was making objects for Creatures 2. And so I sort of started with a very object-oriented view of sort of the way that I thought about programming. And I think that carried over and made object-oriented programming really, really easy for me, where a lot of people starting with an imperative approach had trouble sort of transitioning to the object-oriented paradigm. Gosh, paradigm. Using not fancy words. They're like, anyway. But yeah, I think it's fine. The main thing is, like, no matter what language you learn, if you don't learn also programming patterns, data structures and algorithms, and sort of a set of other relevant computer science stuff, you can be quite potentially hobbled in, like, you'll know how to use the language and you'll pick up bits and pieces along the way. But I guess it's a bit like if you learn to write, like learn all the words, it doesn't, but you don't do anything to study like how to put together a story. You can know all the words you like. You're not going to be a good story writer just because of that. So yeah, I think it's fine. C++. I mean, lots of people started with C and C++ because that was the best thing around. It was more much more user friendly than writing machine code directly. So yeah, I think it's fine, and especially if you're looking at engines, then C++ is probably where it's at. I think also doesn't Unreal use yeah, Unreal Engine programming language, C++. Yep. And thinking about C++, it's got some major advantages over JavaScript and Python, I think. I don't know Python well enough. I haven't used it recently enough to comment too much. But yeah, JavaScript, its type system is really loose. So unless you're using TypeScript and using it well, you have to know the things to do, it's not going to give you any help with using the right types. Whereas if you're using something that's statically compiled with a static type system, it means that you, which is what C# is as well, it means you get a lot of help. It means you get errors before you run stuff, which that sounds bad, more errors, but the thing is, would you rather get an error when you type, let's say I type here end gam modal, it doesn't even want to let me hit escape so it doesn't do that, equals 5, there we go. Now I would much rather get that error just there right now than come over here, wait for it to compile, or I guess you wouldn't be waiting for that if you don't have a precompiled language, but yeah, do something, run the game, and then find out after a minute plus, or even if it was 10 seconds, it's still, that's 10 seconds times however many times that happens a day. Lots of wasted time. Ooh. Yeah, I'd much rather do that, and then it goes, hey, 5 isn't the right kind of thing for here. There's no conversion. So it's sort of, it does give you more errors, but you want those errors because those errors are how the computer helps you. It's like they're the guardrails. And the guardrail is like at the side of the road here, not a guardrail like at the bottom of the cliff when you go off. And then when you hit the bottom, that's when you realize that you did the wrong thing. So yeah, that's how I go for it. The only reason to start with something like JavaScript is like if you're doing web development, you can't avoid it. You can write other things and transpile them to JavaScript, but JavaScript is the native language of the of web browsers. So it's going to be hard to avoid. Plus, any computer that has a browser on it, JavaScript is available because you can just open a browser console and start writing JavaScript right there. This toast has gone cold. Anyway, both of these are pretty much going to be the same thing. We're setting the text to something. Game over. And this one down here, same thing, but victory. And then they do the other thing, which is they get that endgame modal, start to set active true. So same thing. So pretty much I can extract a method here. If I local constant, sure. Yep, that'll do. Call that heading. That means I can now easily extract that into a method. Do show panel with that heading. Now I can inline this. And then this one just becomes the same thing. Show panel victory. I didn't have to do that in 2 steps like that, but I did. There we go. It's like a bit of an extreme reducing duplication, but that just gives us these 2 simple things here. I could have given it a like show end game and give it a boolean for whether it's a victory or not, but I think we're fine there. Like that. Now who's going to call this? When do we show that panel? I believe it's the game manager. Here when we call victory, we're not just going to do that. We're instead going to do game end UI dot instance dot show victory. I'd say I've implemented victory now and game over. Now these are one-line method bodies here, so I could kind of inline those, but actually then it would be kind of used in 2 places there, and there might be other stuff that I want to do on victory, like the game manager might need to do something like pause the game or something like that. Or update some stats. I think I need a better way to do this as well. To destroy these factories to trigger the victory and game over. Let me just think a moment on that. How does the robot get its stuff wired up here? So I've got to set it for a blueprint, but it's not default. Okay. I'm just wondering, can I just have a robot that I move? I know. make a debug menu that just has a button that says to destroy all of some factories, but I think if I just move these guys just like way over here, and just adjust them to, say, 10 hit points. Oh, loads of chats are here. Hi, Omega Killer. All right. I'll catch up on those messages in a second. But let's just let that do its thing. Have I successfully updated those to be 10? Yes, I think so. I'll move them across a smidge more. So when those guys spawn, they like land on top of there. Ah, there we go. YouTube's not giving me noises, and it didn't send the notification. I'm doing okay. I could use more sleep. I was pretty low on dopamine, which is why I had honey-drenched toast just then. It's not chocolate, but I don't have any chocolate in the house, so that was the thing. 24 years isn't old. Haha. 30 isn't old either. Yep, I'm 10 years older than that or more. And I'm still learning and changing. Hey, what happened? What happened over here? I think we missed something. Yep, I forgot to do something. I think it'd be nice to make a general solution to that. But this is the issue here is the game end UI. I forgot to actually. So that script there, which I'll just put that up here because I always put my custom behavior scripts there. So I actually forgot to put the modal here and the text here. So I could just write code that finds those things, but I tend not to do that because then it's more code to maintain. And this way it's much easier to just drag something else in there if it changes. So for the most part, overall, it's better, more manageable. Mobile app. I've never actually released a mobile app. I've got a few that are on my phone, and actually, did I ever? I had one that was like staged for release. It was just like testing how to make stuff work. That's part of why I'm streaming, though, just to not abandon too many things just before they're actually getting somewhere. But yeah, definitely agree with that. Like, until you've actually died or got something that prevents you from physically being able to do something, no reason not to. This robot doesn't need that stuff anymore. Those random cleanup when you see mess. That's an advantage of solo projects. You can get away with that without breaking stuff, because you're not going to break anyone else's code. Actually, I was doing some reflection for the annual kind of update your goals. This is in my day job, and one of the things I realized is that I have on purpose. This is something I already knew. I've on purpose not improved something because changing that code could conflict with someone else's changes if they're somewhere in the same ballpark of the part of the system. And on reflection, I'm pretty sure that the amount of conflicts that I've avoided is probably less than the benefit that I would have had from just improving that code. So I'm going to have a go at just fixing stuff up as soon as I see it, just like I would in a solo project, and just see what happens. See if not too many things explode. Ah, I think it depends. Like, I think when you're young, definitely it's easier to start learning stuff. And I did some programming when I was young, but not heaps of it. But yeah, I'm a qualified veterinarian, and I did that before I got into doing programming professionally. So that was a 5-year degree, and I had a couple of years after school. So yeah, how old would I have been? So I was mid-20s by the time I was actually like studying and working as a programmer. That's a big thing. Like, especially if you have ADHD, I can speak to, like, if you have the interest in something, that makes all the difference. And I'm sure it is true to some degree if you don't have ADHD, but I wouldn't know. I was really, really late diagnosed, and as a result, I didn't really realize until like within the last handful of years that the difference between how I think and other people think isn't just related to my level of intelligence. It's something completely different. Like, fundamentally, most people have a attention system that's just wired differently from mine, and so as a result of that, I really have very little idea how people whose brains aren't like mine, even like what their internal experience is like. Anyway, that's a tangent, I'm sure, from wherever we were. Yeah, it's interesting. I think I've kind of been, since I started programming, I've been a programmer consistently, but slightly different areas. So I started as a Java developer. That was like my first paid programming job. And then picked up some other things, did JavaScript, and then ended up going and doing a different thing. Actually, I've been pretty consistently using React, though, now that I think about it. Not since the beginning, because it didn't exist, but yeah, pretty consistently. No wonder it's getting boring. Yeah, React has gone through some changes, so it's kind of kept it fresh, but part of me wishes I'd just gone and made games straight away and not worried too much about getting enough money, because you can always manage. And if you enjoy something, then you do well at it, and you can make money. Don't count on it, though, because I think it's like, to get a comfortable amount of money is getting harder and harder, because the amount of money you need for comfort is more and more. Now, what was I in the middle of doing? Yeah, I was making Victory Game Over look different. And I hadn't wired them up properly, that's right. So then I was grabbing these and zooming them over to here. And let's move it up to, so that, here we go. It's Space Invaders. Or something like that. The factories can't collide with the walls. That'd be cool. I could just smash them all into the walls. Maybe I'll make them so they can collide with the walls. Gotta catch the robots. Caught them. These factories have far too many hit points. Oh, it's because this one's producing functioning robots. We don't want that. Let's just get you guys not doing anything. Move you a bit further out of range. And then anytime that those come out of there, and never mind. I kind of made a game out of trying to take damage when I could just go here and just say, you get 2 hit points. And I will allow you to have 3 hit points. I'm feeling generous. Okay, that's game over. Let's play again. Of course that happened because of good reasons. It doesn't reset the position of that because that's not supposed to move. Okay, so that was game over. Let's go for a victory. So I'll just get these guys a hit point each. And I think I can even move them. Oh, let's try. There we go. That's a victory. Sweet. We'll play again. Okay, let me stop that so that we get back to our correct positions. I could make a commit out of that. Save saves the scene. And then you save project if you made any changes there. All right. So I got some changes here and a magnifier. Yeah, I'll just make my commit there. I made those look different. I'll commit that. And next, I think I have set up a basic menu to restart. So that's great. Now I want to change the enemy factories. This one I've worded it horribly. Doesn't matter. I'll just mirror that up into the current task. Mainly because it's a subtask of something else. And it has its own subtasks too. Yes, that's right. I made this note not to get carried away and make a genetic algorithm. Because that would be a bad idea. So now's the point where I really need to lock in a decision. There's lots of options there. But yeah, I think the simple one for now, factories that aren't selectable. So it would be quite possible. It'd be nice if I could update the code in real time and it would just kind of pick it up and keep running. Unfortunately, it has to recompile. So I should have a look at, does Godot do that? But yeah, I think I'm going to make the enemy factories not be selectable. And so that way you can't change what they're producing, and they could have higher resource production. And some sort of randomizations. So I think I'll just start with disable selection of enemy factories. You can still probably select enemy bots because they are. I also would like to make enemy bots look different. Probably just like tint red. Something like that, just to make it obvious that they're enemies. I could do different health bars, different health bar colors or something. Actually, I'm not going to do that right now because that's not really part of changing that. So I think if I disable selection, that means you now cannot change the blueprint. You can't change the routine on them, and that means you can't control them in any way, which is good. And then I need to kind of make something happen there. I think I just want to grab like this thing has routine selection, so that's for selecting things that have a routine, which basically is factories and robots. So this is the thing that is responsible for positioning the focus indicator. And I believe we're looking for mouse button down, casting array, and hitting stuff and selecting it. So basically, I need a way to distinguish between enemies and not enemies. Selectable unit. So yeah, that's my selectable units. Okay, so selectable unit. It has editable. It has a routine. Boolean to say whether it's running the routine, which step of the routine it's on. This stuff is used to show which step is happening in the routine. Just down there, we got the blueprint, so that's used for the blueprint editor when that's open. So it applies to whatever is selected, and it's got the transform. And this is basically just exposing one of the transform, exposing one of the mono behavior methods here. So I think we just need another thing on here. So pretty much an is enemy property. But oh my gosh, that's not how you spell enemy. What are my fingers even doing? Those keys aren't anywhere near each other, so it was a brain level problem. So now we've got that is enemy, anything that implements this, which if I hit Shift F12, I'll get the list. Well, that's not just the list of implementers. Let me right click and see if instead of just all references, implementation, Control F12, so factory and robot. Okay, we're missing something and we can tell it to implement that. And then it's hopefully put in this thing which will throw we've got this is enemy boolean here. So I'm pretty much just going to return that. And probably identical for this robot. We got is enemy. That'll just end up being returned. Now I could have called that thing is selectable or something like that in here. But I specifically chose to do is enemy because that means that in here, I would have the potential of sort of switching on or off for debugging purposes or something, the selection of enemy units. basically at the moment it has to be not an enemy. So not that thing is an enemy. So basically if you click on the enemy, an enemy one now, it should just ignore it. Give that a try. How are we going for time? Streaming is definitely doing one of its main jobs here, which is it's basically so I don't just sort of stop making games when things get a bit busy. Right, so let me just select this. Oh, I can't. Oh, what's going on? Let me select the robot. I can't do that either. I think fixing that robot turning angle will make a big difference. I think that's something pretty high up on the bugs. I need a degrees symbol. Anyway, I'll do. There we go. Let's record that because I think that sort of makes it so you can't really use them the way that they're intended to be used. I'm going to make this a bit bigger because I can see there's just that grey space there. Oh, let's set off the chat thingy. Let's probably burn through all of those auto thingies. Right. So I believe I've successfully done that. Might as well make a commit out of that actually. Okay. So what's next? Well, now it's actually a game because you can play it. Now I believe these factories are kind of set up with some very basic stuff at the moment that is broken. So here we go. I think I want that to be really basic. So I think we'll just do like shoot laser. Be a few steps forward and then shoot the laser again. That's a reasonable default left arm laser. I think we'll get rid of the default right arm. And I think we'll give them budget legs to begin with, so it just works with that. And then you can go in and do some stuff. Modify that. So I think that sets all those friendlies. And get them to start with full health. Collision damage sufficient to explode a robot. Okay, and just enable those as well. It doesn't really make any difference. They'll end up enabled anyway. But it just looks less sparse on here. Oh, okay, now that all these enemy factories will get their hit points up. And now, basically whatever I set up here... Oh, hey! Do I play an instrument? Let's see. The main music I've made recently is singing, and that's because I've basically there's the stuff on that I go and do with kids, my own ones, related to their school. I've played around with guitar and stuff, but not and you know, what else have I played? Like recorder a bunch at school and things like that. But yeah, nothing really regular. I was going to do a joke there and say I had a guitar up here, but it's just a you know, English one-string long guitar, but it isn't strung right now, so I would have to string it. And I don't think it's going to show up very well. Maybe with a little bit of light. There's a button somewhere here, so I can see what I'm doing. Should string it every now and then, even if I'm not using it, just to keep the suppleness. Oops. Oh, I have a knee injury too. How do I apply the appropriate force without doing damage to that leg? 1 second. Let me just see if I got enough room here. Without destroying too many things. There's a bit of art to it. There we go. Got it. So there's my guitar. Yeah. It's more of a violin, really, because you need to sort of put a thing across it, and then you play it like this. But does it work? There we are. Probably needs tuning. But no, it's actually a longbow, and I don't use it as often as I would like to because I'm busy. It is taller than I am. I forget what the draw on it is. Oh, conveniently though, I remember just putting a set of spring scales just there, so we can probably see the draw on that just by hooking that on there. The camera's not good enough to pick it up, is it? I'm going to have to turn it this way. And then I can see. Okay, how high does this thing go? What have we got? Kilograms in the middle, pounds on the outside. All right. Okay. It has got a 45-pound draw, about 21 kilograms. Wait, was I bending that far enough? I'll just try that one more time just to make sure that I'm bending it adequately. It's been a while since I got it, so I kind of forgot what the draw. I've got to pull it back a little further because of this thing. Yeah, no, that's We're at 21 kilos. So yeah, spot on 45 pounds. So nothing that's going to bow my, well, what's the word? Nothing that's going to give me deformed shoulders from firing it too much. Oh, there we go. I'm familiar with capoeira, not the details of it, just its existence. But I've done mainly Shaolin, Long Fist, Kung Fu, and some Taekwondo. You know, I better unstring this. It's not good for them to leave them strung when you're not using them. So you pretty much have to bend the bow and then like hook or unhook the string. So you hook the you hook one end of it just in front of your on the front of your ankle on one side, and then it goes up, and around there rests on your buttock, and then you can push it forward to bend it, and then it's in an okay position to get your little loop put onto the little bit of horn on the end there, where there's a notch for it. You should set up a target and go and practice with it. Otherwise, when the zombie apocalypse comes, I won't be able to fend many of them off because I'll be out of practice. All right, that can go back up there. Oh, chainmail up there, not finished. Takes a long time to make. That can be an instrument as well, which can be a bit of a problem if you're like running around and then you want to be quiet. You kind of have to hold it. And yeah, not the sneakiest of armor. All right, where was I? I've done that thing, disable selection, and basically at this point I just want to make it so that it's sort of more playable, even though we're still in fairly early prototype. So we've got Boop sitting here out in the middle of the battlefield. Just let me rotate you back the other way. Wait, what was that? That's the position, not the rotation. Yeah, so even though we got Boop sitting out here, let's put Boop about here instead. I'm going to add some obstacles. I'm going to do. Oh yeah, so that was. Sorry, I was reading these while I was messing with the bow before. Berimbau. I'm going to look that up. See if I've seen them. Ah! Yeah. I'm sure I've seen those in videos, not in person. But, yeah, interesting. I'm not surprised it would sound a lot like a bow, given that it looks a lot like a bow. It looks like the main difference is that it has this thing here, which I'm guessing does something to resonate. And you tap it with this, right? And I don't know what those bits are for. I could read this, but I'm going to keep making the game. Really interesting. I'm going to leave that there so I read it later. Yeah. It's pretty much like you get a bow for combat, and then when you're not fighting anyone, you just put a few extra bits on, and you can play a song. Alrighty. Yes, so a few things I want to do to make it more game-ish is I'm going to make an obstacle of some sort. How about... Oh, wait, I've got an obstacle. I already have a kind of obstacle. And so I'll just make an empty game object here called obstacles. Reset its transform to 0. We can pronounce it obstacles. That's the... Wait, where am I getting that from? Hercules? Ancient Greek? Obstacles. Anyway, I think in here, I probably have a prefab here for a lovely obstacle that I like to call wall. So I can just put a wall here. A protective wall, of course, to protect our beloved boop. There we go. And I can chuck a couple of more in here. There we go. Got, for some reason, that went in that order. There's a wall. There's another wall. Let's put that one. We'll pop that there. It doesn't really matter where I put these at the moment because I'm planning to move them with code into random positions around here, and that should mix things up a bit. So I'll just make the default positions round numbers because even though I'm going to move them, I don't want them to be at non-round numbers. It offends my sensibilities. Let's see. Yep, that's fine. So now we've got those. I'm just going to play that, make sure it works properly, but also probably in the game manager. I need to play again. It's going to do restart level. And do those things. I think another thing I want to do is randomize obstacles. Which doesn't exist yet, but that's fine. We'll make it exist. So we'll need to get a reference to the obstacles. Do I want to do it as the container and then search for them? Or do I just want to do like that? An array of transforms and just manually add them all. I think I'll do like this. I'll do the obstacle container. And then to randomize them, basically just go obstacle container, get component. Components and children of type transform. Doesn't. Since it's transforms. No, I'm going to do get components and children because that gives me just an array, right? Because you can't get like all the children another way. So that should be the obstacles. Should be an array of transforms. Yep, it is. And then I need random positions. Transform obstacles, except instead of calling it T, let's call it coffee. No, it's going to be obstacle. Oops. Obstacle dot position dot x equals math dot rand like random that one. We want to use Unity Engine Random. Okay, what's the difference between range and random range? Okay, we do want an int. Balance deprecated, so yeah. Random range. And what we want to do is we want to be anywhere from, how close can the obstacles be? They'll need space to spawn. I think we'll do 2 clear spaces. So the first possible x should be 2, and the last possible x should be like 7. So between 2 and 7, is it inclusive? Within, yeah, it's called min inclusive, max inclusive. 2, 7. That's going to give us an int. Yeah, sure. X position is going to be that. And just the Y position is equal to anywhere between like 0 and 7. There we go. So we've got those. We'll just pop them in some random positions. And there are only 4 of them. That won't be able to completely block off anything. So that should be fine. It's not going to break the game. I could have up to 7 of them since we've got 8 rows. And you just need to steer your robots through there, which means I've got to get the turning working properly. So that's one thing that'll make it much more game-ish. I'm starting to feel like I'm getting low on time, which I sort of am. Well, let's just see if that works. Let's just also say on start, every starts that one. Good. I was going to make it do that, but it already does. So that means those should just end up in random positions. No, it doesn't, because I forgot something. Game manager, meet the obstacle container. There you are. Now it could happen. I keep trying to think of a quick way to it'll also work really well, like if I actually write the code to, oh, where did I just go? Yeah. So yeah, I don't think we need that. If you're using system and Unity engine, then it's ambiguous whether you mean system random or Unity engine random. Okay, so basically, we'll grow the position. So this is a struct, which means it's passed by value, not by reference, which means now if I do post.x, I can change it. And now I just need to set it back onto there again. There we go. That's basically just so I keep the correct Z position of those. The other option is just to do that as a new vector3, which has this. Nope, doesn't like when you do that. This dragged to the correct position, and that. But I don't know if that's more or less readable. Probably less. Good enough. All right, so now code is actually written properly. So we're setting those positions. That should be another clue that I'm getting low on time. Just wasting time on really basic things. There we go. We got a couple there, some here. They might go on top of each other. Doesn't matter. They'll still do their job. Oh, that one's trying to shoot a laser that it doesn't have. So these factories are basically safe, except that I want to make those factories. I think if I just randomize them in some way, that'd be cool. Just thinking like what should they do? How should they be interesting? At the moment, they're just all walking forward, aren't they? Yeah, I think like a random set of parts and a random routine. That might be interesting. And then re-randomize every now and then. Let's give that a go. I mean, there's not enough time to do that left. I've got less than 10 minutes, but I'll at least give it some kind of try. So I might, where will I put this? So we've got a factory, and it has got like a blueprint and stuff. It's got some default RoboParts, but then in order to set those, we need to have the RoboPart scriptable object. So now RoboParts, like we've got the budget legs scriptable object. Those are present in, must be present somehow in the blueprint editor. So we've got this like parts manifest that has each of the parts as a RoboPart card script, which has that on it. It's not a very good place for them to be because it's sort of nested, buried within a script somewhere. So I think for now, I'll start making a new script. And I think we'll call this like an enemy part randomizer. Or maybe enemy blueprint randomizer. All right. Let's have a look there. So what do I want this to do? It needs to have some blueprints. I've got this array, this RoboParts array. I think I'll put this on the enemy factories container. Just for convenience, then it can just look for its children. Yep, that needs to be a serialized field. Otherwise it won't pick it up. And I'll pop those RoboParts on there. And then I think if it looks for what's going on here, that's better. It's really distracting. Yeah, 5 minutes. What can I do in 5 minutes? All right. Now we've got RoboParts array. Let's put the budget legs there. Does that not work? Plus that. There. So any parts that I put here can be a candidate to be put onto a thing, onto a mount point. Including none though. So now we've got the RoboParts. Randomize all. So this can randomize all the RoboParts at the start. And then I can probably put something that will randomize them every now and then. So factories, no factories. Else. Get components. Each children. Factory. And then let's actually call that. Now we got the factories. Yep, that for each will do quite nicely. What do we want to do with it? Randomized blueprint for that factory. There we go. If only this were already implemented. No problem. We'll just implement that. Factory. Blueprint. Does it already have a blueprint? Probably already has a blueprint that's just been set up as a new blueprint. And we actually use these defaults here that set this thing, like blueprint dot whatever equals something. And I think we can basically do something like that's a robo blueprint. Blueprint, call it BP, factory.blueprint. It's just so I've got a short thing. It's not going to equal null. Random part sensor one RoboPart, yes. Mount point type dot sensor. There we go. So we don't have that yet. Let's generate that. So pretty much going to say, yeah, for this mount point type, and it will get us a random part. So I think we're basically we've got our RoboParts. Let's make a list of RoboPart. Like so, and then just for each one of those, we'll just check. It's gone behind the magnifier there. That point. That is a mount point type, yes. If that equals the point type, then parts.add part. So now that'll give us the parts in this list that are candidates. And then I pretty much want to just get a random one of those. So we can access it like that. We just need an index. So we want random unity engine.random, yep. Random.range. And it could be anywhere from 0 to parts.count -1. Or is there like last index? No, that's searching for the last index. So no, not that. Yeah, so just there. So anything up to whatever's in there. And is that complaining because it's just, yeah, not a thing. Now we're returning that part. So that should give us a random part of the correct type if possible. Parts.count equals 0, return null. Sounds perfect. That's what I was about to do. So yeah, if it's empty, if there were none, return null. But also, like, no part should be an option. Like just not having something. But how likely should that be? We've got 8 factories. 2 out of 8, maybe 25%. We get a random between 0 and 1. And it's within 25%. Also return null. So don't use any part for a quarter of them. I think only, no, this is legs. We do want them to always be able to move. Yeah, if it's not legs, then sometimes don't include it. And that's because, you know, there's a cost to parts. So just having like no arms, it's cheap. I should give these parts mass, and then that would like slow them down or drain more energy. Well, I've gone over time, haven't I? And I've only got sensor 1. Luckily, I can pretty easily get sensor 2, 3, 4. Oh wait, I can iterate the blueprint, right? Okay, now type is far. Output with part. That was clever of me to make that iterable. So now I think I can actually do, let's see. Oh, that's just getting me the mount point and the part on there. But I think I still don't have a way to just set the part, right? We've got a struct, it's got a mount point and a RoboPart with a constructor. It'd be nice if I had a setter that could set something. Given a blueprint, mount point type, and so on. Well, I guess I can just write one in here, which I could probably put that out. So this is going to be a set part on that point. And then we need a robo blueprint. We need a robot part. And a mount point type. Point type, yes, it did do that. Oh, you want me to check for now? Yeah, why not? Okay. Last stream I was using a switch statement. And don't remember the syntax I used. The old syntax. All right. So we've got switch case and pretty much just blueprint dot legs is equal to part. Where's your problem here? Oh yeah, I see. That's going to be tedious. Okay, now I should have an option suggested here. Let's just do that. All right, where did I have that? That thing. I deleted it, didn't I? We're talking about C# switch expressions, and they look like there, right? Yeah, blah blah switch, and then you do that. So I was starting to do that. So put that there, right switch, and then instead of that, we do like legs. Blueprint.legs equals part. Ah, interesting, it's a comma. Problem here is it's not actually evaluating to a value. So it's not the right tool for the job. So we'll stick with that. And oops, did not undo enough. What is all this stuff I'm undoing here? Okay. Sure. Do you have to have I can join the lines like that, that'll be less verbose. I could actually just return instead of break. Basically do the same. Ah, man. I always get more later than I intend to. What's that dopamine? Can't change something if it's slightly dopamine. Oops. It's not a mount point type that we want. It's an actual mount point. Okay, which means we're dealing with mount point antenna, mount point dot backpack, mount point dot sensor 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. What else have we got? That. Okay, we got legs there, got the sensors, backpack antenna, got left arm. And right arm. I've got the legs. Anything else? Got all the sensors. Yeah, good. There. Some of that was a bit tedious to write, but at least it's a thing that can set apart on a mount point. And so I've got a random part here. We're grabbing that. So that's the point we want to set on. I've ended up making this a bit tangly. Okay. Do something. Let me just check how I've set up my mount points. Because I think I had a way. So we got mount point type and mount point. Mount points dot get type. Yeah, that's what I want. All right, what's the problem here? I want a blueprint, a part, and a mount point all the way around. So if I take that and put that there, now we're good. So that should actually do it. Call that thing BP. Yeah, so that should do it. That should randomize the blueprint on all those guys. But only on start. Let's see. It's about 60 frames a second. Takes a while to make a robot. On average, we could do an average once every 2 minutes. So that's like 120 seconds. So probability per frame. About every 2 minutes. So that's 120 seconds. And then one on 120 if it was 1 second, but we probably want delta time divided by 120 to get that small amount. So I think that'll give us a really small number. Or I could do it every about every 1 minute. Like just change one of the factories. Would that work out okay? Randomize random instead of all. So we'll grab these guys just here. Yeah, factory start length is equal to 0, return. And then basically the factory that we want to randomize is equal to factories, and we'll just do complete that. There, somewhere between 0 and the last index of that factory. And then I'll just randomize the blueprint of that factory. Okay. That one factory every minute. That's on average. Each factory would be running for 8 minutes without a change. I think maybe we'll do it more like 30 seconds. Okay. Crossing my fingers this will actually work. Gone over time. I'll need to wrap up the stream really soon. But I want to see this. I want to see whether this works. And I can cheat and view it on the scene view to see what's actually happening. Could even get rid of the progress bars. Well, looks like we've all got like shields and lasers on those. And standard legs. So something about that hasn't worked. Okay, we got it. Enemy factories, enemy part randomizer. Got some RoboParts in there. So we should be getting that start. We should be calling randomize all. Get the length of our factories there. Guess I'll just do that as a randomize all has this many factories. Okay, and then we're doing randomized blueprint. Oh, it may be that we do all that and then need to set that blueprint into there. It could have just been that. Because that blueprint's a struct, so we can't edit in place. I think we have to copy it back in. And we'll get a bonus, a little bit of debug logging. That shows us that it's picking up all 8 factories. So these all building at the same rate? Not sure. Looks pretty similar. Yep, they look like they're all the same type. Who's selected there? There's a group. Whatever the enemy is showing is just going malfunction, malfunction, malfunction. Yeah, looks like they're all very standard. Okay, well, maybe I will get a bit of stuff in there. Oh. Well, okay. Just make all this break instead. Break, return blueprint. Okay. So not returning my structs. Probably there, I think. Once again, let's give it a go. It should be obvious because those progress bars should move at different rates if they've got different parts on them. So we should see something. All right. What's going on here? That one's getting that first. They're looking very similar. We don't have any this quick. So what's going on with that? Oh. Iterating this only gives you what they have on there so far. So that might mean we don't get all of the points. But we really just want like the type of mount point, don't we? Mm-hmm. Is that right? That gets it. Get values. There. So that should actually give us every type of mount point. We get a random part for the correct point type. Put it on the point. What's going on with random here? Now we've got system. Why have we got system? We're going to call that Unity Engine.random or do a different thing. wait, what am I actually using from system? If I delete that, if I delete those two, it's going to stop working. So basically, can I say I'm just using a single thing? I would like to. C# using limited. C#. Yeah, disambiguating conflicting names. Is it possible? Create an alias for a type. Using timers, timer. Timer equals. So basically, if I go using random like that, that is no longer ambiguous because I've said when I say random, I mean this random. And then that list of RoboPart is from system collections generic. So I do have a generic list, that makes sense. Okay, does it work? Will it blend? Cool language feature. Just the import thing I did. Yeah, I knew there was a way. I hadn't really bothered about it. Random is the only thing that usually hits that, and most of the time you just need to not import system, not using system. But yeah, it's kind of annoying to have to prefix every random with Unity Engine.random, like not with Unity Engine. Make it Unity Engine.random, because that would just be annoying. It looks like it's still not working. Like they just all seem to be building at the same speed. So is there something with setting the blueprint that doesn't work? Blueprint equals value. Doesn't seem to do anything when you set the blueprint. All that seems totally fine. So finds 8. Yeah, could use a real debugger, I guess. Or go to bed. But yeah, let's do it. Let's attach. Where do I want breakpoint? I guess probably somewhere in randomize all. Just stop right there. Where's my breakpoint setting functionality? This doesn't even want to select that row. Yep, go. Need to stop that running. Oh, it's all the way out here. Yeah, I kind of got out of the habit of using a debugger a lot of the time because a lot of the code that I've worked with has been in contexts where it doesn't debug very cleanly. It's actually improved a lot, but it's like asynchronous code where, like, where you end up is not. You kind of can't walk to where you want to get because the code that you're running finishes executing, and then there's some kind of external framework that invokes the next part of it, not in the same call stack at all. All right, let's kick that off, and we'll see where we get with this. Well, we stopped. Yeah, let me just do some navigating around here. Okay, got our factory array, 8 factories. We're in enemy factories. Now we're at randomized blueprint. For one of the factories, it is this factory. Right here. It's got a robot blueprint there. Which has null for most of that stuff. Yeah, null for all of that stuff. Oh, okay. I think I might have figured it out. If those are all null, that tells me that we haven't actually run the factory. Set default blueprint parts, which is probably setting all those parts, overriding whatever has been done by the randomizer. So I'm going to stop that running. Let's just continue. Stop that running. And now yeah, pretty much if I can just get this to not run on start, but instead run a little bit later. Even on the first update, I think would be better. if you haven't done first randomize, then randomize all. And done first randomize equals true. So now we won't run it on start. We'll just run it just after start one time. Okay, that could fix it. Give it a shot. Yep. It was time to set a breakpoint and debug, especially if this now starts to work. It's hard to tell at first. Are they different? Are they the same? They look like they're all the same. Yes, default value for a boolean is false if you don't initialize it. And I think ints are always 0. So not like other languages where it might be an undefined value, or you might get just like whatever random chunk of memory that's not been initialized that you get. Yeah, so I think in C# it was specifically made false so that you don't get that that problem of if you forgot to initialize it, then you got whatever junk you try and read from the memory that you were allocated. So basically what I'm looking for here is we should not have these all stay the same if this is working properly. And it's clearly not working. It should still have done a randomize all there. Even if it was just doing the randomize random, it should have probably changed one of them by now. But it seems not to have. Also, that might need to be made into a floating point. All right. So that's false. Now we're getting ready to do a randomize all. Step into that. Go get our factories. It's null. At this point, 8 factories. Okay, we've got our factory. Just that's our factory. Blueprint, which is a robot blueprint, which has these parts in it. So far, that seems okay. Step into there. we've got this BP. I'm sure I can use more of this space here. See what I've got. I've got the factory, now I've got this blueprint, BP, which doesn't have anything set in it. But I think if I just go like that, that has the correct value. Okay, I'm getting a point type here. We've got point antenna. Point type arm. That doesn't quite look right to me. Return. Yeah, it seems weird. Okay. But point type might just be uninitialized there, so let's just step over that. Okay, yeah, point type is antenna. And then, so BP at the moment is equal to this. And we shouldn't get any random part. Let me just step into that one time to make sure. So point type is antenna. Got this new list of parts. Just null gets initialized. Where's parts? Yeah, count equals 0. Go through all the available parts. Everything in RoboParts. So RoboParts right there has 4 things in it. Which is budget legs, standard legs, laser, and shield. And part, budget legs, dot point type. Oh, part dot mount point. Legs, which is not antenna, so not going to work. Anyway, go through all of those. 3, 4. Cool. Yeah, I believe we're returning null there. Okay, and then we should basically expect to continue looping through until we get to something that we actually have parts for. Okay, now on to sensor 3, sensor 4. Okay, left arm. Here's a candidate. So then we go, point type becomes arm. So now we're looking for an arm part. We get the parts, so we're going to go through these. Now, mount point. Mount point legs, that does not equal that, so we'll go to our next iteration of the loop. Again, legs, next iteration. Now we've got arm. So we're going to add that to part. Yep, parts, can equals 1. And we should have another type of arm thing, so we get can equals 2. And that's everything, so count doesn't equal 0, we shouldn't return here. And if the point type is not equal to legs, which it point type is equal to arm. So it isn't equal to legs. I've just realized these are not floating point values. This should be floats. Otherwise, it's going to give me a integer range. So that might actually be making it not do something, not sure. Oh. I think we might be returning now. So I might have chosen 0 or 1, which could be a 50-50 chance. Okay, what's the point we got now? Point, right arm. Should be the same thing. Did we set anything? How's our BP blueprint looking? Yeah, still got laser, legs, right arm. Yeah, laser, standard legs and shield. Oops, I think I might have missed the other arm bit. Point legs. This is where I really want to step into random part again here. Okay, so now we've got legs. We're building up our list of parts. So we should see, yeah, so the count increased there. Should increase again to 2. Ah, here we go. I don't think I'm even needed for this. No. Yeah, definitely the nature of that. It's like basically all of the ways that we've built up the layers of abstraction to make it easier to think about things tends to hurt performance. So if you want to not have issues with your memory size or processor cycles, you kind of end up having to go and get your hands dirty. Okay, so we got a count of 2 for parts, and then I believe we should be adding no more things there. Now we're done. So now we've got count of 2. We're not going to return there. Now, I updated that, but I don't think it's recompiled it. Haven't even saved, actually. But basically at this point, what are we getting from that random range? System.random should not be system.random. Is that really system.random? I'll just specifically use Unity engine.random. made it here. Alright, so let's look at the blueprint now. Maybe what we should possibly have here is... Oh, we've still got standard legs. I couldn't actually tell what part it had selected there. I think I need to dig a bit better into that by pulling the random part out to a separate place so I can actually see it. See what's been selected. And when we're choosing the random part here, we'll just grab that. Set part index. And here we'll just pull out also the as well. Call it that. Okay. Problem is, if I don't finish the stream on time, then I end up going over by way too much and I can now sleep. All right. This random number, it's pretty much just I want something to happen a quarter of the time. So if I generate a random number between 0 and 1, assuming that it's evenly distributed, along that range, then if I just take all of the numbers that are less than 0.25, that should give me 25% of the time, but randomly. So I don't have to kind of keep a counter and do something every fourth time, which wouldn't be very random. So yeah, basically it's just a way to get something happening a proportion of the times on average. What is taking so... Oh, what is taking so long is we're paused in the debugger, so it's going to take so long. Okay, got our factories. There are 8 of them. Randomizing the blueprint on one of the factories. The blueprint is here. It has nothing in it until I go to the next line, and then there we have BP with those values in. And now we can just look at random part, dig in there. Oh, what point is it for? It's for antenna. So I'm just going to step out of that because we're not going to get something for an antenna. Okay, so sensor 1, Yeah. Do not have sensors yet. Possibly should not have even added those to the enum. Yeah, good point. Good point. I very likely could. Go into it when I've got an actual part. Here we go, like a left arm. Let's step into it. Yeah. Yeah, definitely could. It would avoid this bit of work here. So should be building up the parts, the two parts that can go on arms. There. There it is. We got a laser or a shield. And that should be the end of that. So since count equals 0, we'll go here. Doing our dice roll. Starts at 0. There we go. So yeah, we got 0.988. So that's going to skip that. But yeah, pretty much if that was going to be that, then doing that up here would be much better. Okay, so part index. We get that as, wait, what are you doing? So what was that? Part index 0. So that means we should be getting from parts, first index. So that should be giving us a laser. Okay. I'm pretty sure that's what we already had on the left arm. So that's annoying. So yeah, set left arm to that. And that means now this blueprint has got a left arm of laser, which it already had. Okay, what do we got here? Right arm. See what we get. Random part is equal to another laser. Okay, so now we should actually be updating this to have laser and not a shield on the right arm, but a laser. So let's see how we go. Did it work? Still says shield here. So that seems to be maybe not working. Yeah, still says shield here. So that's kind of disappointing. Why are you not updating? So something wrong with this. So about Robo Blueprint. Looks like it should work. I think we just got legs left, so we probably need to go until we get legs. There we go. Got legs. Print type. Legs. Random part is budget legs. Now let me just go in here. Okay. So now we've got the blueprint right here. It's got standard legs, and we've got budget legs part to put on there. We should, whoa. Oh man, that check was backwards. Okay. Show's over. I think that we can continue and do that. Man, I hate those. I swear I didn't used to make those kind of mistakes. It's just such a simple thing, and it's backwards. The computer just read all of the code out to me in English-ish. Let's just get those breakpoints off there so that we don't keep pausing at those. Aha! Now that's different. We've got a little one wheel. Now we got some one laser. They're liking the budget legs, which is, oh, we got a double laser here. They're not doing anything, but that's kind of cool. Got a double laser guy here. Not using the lasers, but that's halfway there. I've not seen a single standard legs, and I haven't seen any shield. So that tells me I think I've got something wrong with the bit of code where we get a random part. I have a feeling my part index. Max exclusive. Okay. Yeah, not inclusive. Just duplicate that. This one can have that. And this one can have that. Oh wait, no, I still need the leg thing. Don't know. Needs to be together. Can't even. Put that there. Right, so that should fix it. I need to get the blueprint doing stuff. Oh, what have I missed here? Not much. Oh, yeah. I always just add extra parentheses to keep my ors and ands. Like, it's good to know the order of operations, like the operator precedence. But, yeah, always just like wraps up in parentheses, and then you don't need to remember which is which. Just group things together. The other thing I'll do, though, is just, it can be pretty good sometimes to just break up your conditionals. If you've got multiple things in there, then just figure out like what are the logical subcomponents of that condition. And often it makes it a lot more readable because you end up with, instead of some chain of things where you just go, what is that? Instead, just pulling out an explanatory variable that that just basically becomes a single, like, meaningful variable name for a part of it. Can be good. Hard to explain without an example. And when I should have been in bed an hour ago. I fixed something, didn't I? It's mainly that. The fact that it's max exclusive. And when those weren't floats, since it was doing max exclusive 0, 1 of integers, it would always just give 0. So that would always have been failing until I made those floats. Oh, there we go. We've got standard legs on this one. That one has 2 shields. I don't know what it ran into. It just came out and just exploded. I think they're colliding with their own shield. It must not be getting on the correct layer. We've got a dual laser. Just running into the wall. Okay. Definitely a big bug there. I'm going to put that in my bugs. That's probably even bigger than the left and right issue. Enemies with shields. Oh, enemies collide with their own shields. Yep. Here's an enemy with a shield. That's the robot. And we should have his enemy checked. And on its left arm, it's got its shield. We've got its actual shield here. Got a hittable object right there. And we've got its collider. And here, there's the thing. Friendly bot parts. Should be enemy bot parts. Who put that part on there? Probably the factory. Probably when it's spawning a robot. Oh, looks like this has imports that aren't needed. Probably not, actually. So, spawn robot. Robot spawn instance is spawning it. So, we spawn parts. Pointed part dot RoboPart. Right, so now at this point we've got a part prefab. Now at this point we've got a part prefab. We instantiate it. And we set its layer to enemy bot parts. I don't know who Jordan Rudess is. So let's have a look. He's got a really short beard though. Oh wait, only in some of those pictures. And I've got hair. See this hair up here somewhere? You can't see it. Looks pretty interesting though. I'll have to check him out sometime. Looks like he makes music. All right. So problem is we're setting the layer mask on the instantiated object, but the instantiated object is this. So that's on the right layer, but we need the actual shield to also be on that layer, and we don't want that to be on that layer. So yeah, how do we handle that? Probably if we've got a hittable object in there, right? Because actual shield is a hittable object. So we might as well put that on the layer, but there we go. So we got top level hittable object. And if that's not equal to null, then we want to do, yep, that line of code there. And then we also want to any hittable object children. Go get components children of type hittable object. If we get some of those, now how far down does that go? Is it just one level? Nope. Yeah, show me the overloads. Clear inactive. And some results. I'm just going to look up get components in children. Check the docs and see if it goes down multiple levels. On the same game object as the components specified and any children of the game object. On the same game object as the component specified and any child. Oh yeah, so I don't need to do that as two separate things. Game object on which is first called, then recurses downwards through all child game objects using depth first search. Okay, cool. Yep. I'm just going to get each hittable and set its game object layer to this. Don't need that. There. So now it will set the layer correctly and they won't collide. I'm not very good at just putting something on the bug list and going to bed. Oh well. If that gets fixed, then that's good. I guess I can release this as is with random bytes, random walls. And how long is Boop going to last before getting crushed by a random wall? Oh, I think Boop just got crushed immediately. Oh yeah. Little single wheel guys, they're always out first. Do need to make these bots bump off each other. Like if they try and move into an occupied square, they bounce back into the position they were already at. So this one has a shield. And yes, it has not collided with its own shield. That's nice. That's what I was going for. Hard to keep track of whether any of them are changing what they're doing. So you got single wheel, one shield. There and there. That one's double shield. So you got shield, double shield, shield and laser with standard legs. So if it goes for a couple of minutes, you should expect something to change. Oh, and then this one's take away the shield, back to budget legs, and then that one's take away the laser. No, that one's changed. Used to be laser and a shield, didn't it? Got to randomize their routines as well, so they kind of end up going all over the place and actually firing their lasers and using their shields to block. Well, I better leave it at that. I think that's different enough to be worth a release. Oh, interesting. I apparently have a breakpoint here. What are you up against? Double lasers. If they were actually firing, then that would be intimidating. All right, let's cut a release there. Oh, actually, before that, I'll just make sure these enemy factories in their routine. Oh, argument out of range. Whoa, man. broken. Okay, well, let's just see what the deal is here. They're all on walk forward now. Anyway, I was thinking if I go walk, maybe not walk forward. I'll start with like shoot laser, block, walk forward. Maybe just something like cycle through those. So if that was the routine for all of them, then they'd have a chance to actually use some of those things that they are randomly making. So who's going to win this one? Oh, unlucky, just standard legs. Here we go, we're firing lasers. That one's a little bit ahead with its cheaper budget legs. Ooh, dual lasers, that's going to hurt. Yep. We got this one. It's blocking. Ooh, it worked. Success. Oh yeah, shields versus these kamikaze mono wheels. That should be fairly successful. You don't need the standard legs. Well, I guess they're never going to need the standard legs because they don't have any turn left or turn right instructions. Didn't quite get the timing right with the shield there. Wait, is that? I think the laser is. They're shooting their own shield. Yeah, they are. That's cool. Interesting bug. So I fixed that one. But now I have this one. Just looking at this one. It's got double shields. And it blocked and then walked straight into. Yep. Straight into its enemy. I think the timing is just a little off. Doesn't matter. Right. Anyway, that's enough fiddling around. Doesn't matter if they're shooting their own shield. Still good enough to release. So it's release time. All right. Getting each build up and running. Okay, when I press that button, it will go, but it'll also kill the stream. So I will kill it myself before that. Thank you. It's been a fun one. It's been a much longer than planned one. I'm going to feel terrible tomorrow. But oh well. At least I haven't been doing that as much as I used to. So, thanks for watching. Have a great time. And in 10 minutes or less, this should be playable at the URL there. And link in the description, I believe.